Hey guys, today we are learning dividing radicals. So first we're going to review, and I know you already know how to do this, but I want to show you something, remind you about it. Whenever we have radicals and we're multiplying, we're going to multiply inside times inside. So I have square root of 5 times square root of 5. It becomes the square root of, and instead of 25, I'm going to write it as the square root of 5 times 5, because here's what I want you to see. Remember that whenever we have a square root like this, and there's a 2 there, if we don't see anything, we're going to circle groups of 2. So I can circle these 2 5s. There's nothing else there. So really the square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is equal to just 5. We're going to look at the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, and we're going to see the same exact thing, that the square root of 3 times square root of 3, I'm going to write it as the square root of 3 times 3. Again, there's a 2 there because there's not a number, which means that I need 2 3s. I'm going to circle the 2 3s that I have. Those 2 3s come outside of the square root. There's nothing else there. So the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is equal to 3. Essentially, I have 2 3s that are being multiplied there. Now, hopefully that makes sense, that you can see that I have 2 square roots of 5. I need 2 to take that out, and so it becomes 5. Let's move on. When we're dividing radicals, we can't ever have a radical in our denominator. That's the bottom of my fraction. And because I can't ever have a radical in my denominator, then that means that I have to get rid of it. So just like up above, I was able to get rid of my square root by multiplying it by another square root because there was 2. Here, I'm going to do the same thing. So the first thing we're going to look at is this. It's the cube root. I need 3 of them. So I need 3 4s for that to go away. So what I want you to see is that I'm going to multiply it by the cube root of 4 times 4. Notice now I have 3 4s. And if I do it to the denominator, I need to do it to the numerator. So the reason I'm doing this is because then I can get rid of that denominator. All I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this, my numerator and my denominator. What I'm going to write is I'm going to write the top as the cube root of 10 times 4 times 4, all inside my radical. And the numerator or the denominator as the cube root of 4 times 4 times 4. All I've done so far between blue and pink is put all of those multiplication inside my radical. Then the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to circle our group of 4. And I'm going to multiply that. Okay, so 2 things. First, let's look at our numerator. 4 times 4 is 160 times 10, or 4 times 4 is 16 times 10 is 160. All I've done is multiply those. Then in my denominator, because I have 3 4s, 1, 2, 3, and I needed 3 4s, that means that I have a denominator of just 4. Now we're going to do the exact same thing that we would normally do with that 160. I'm going to prime factor it. I did not do a good job with layout of the notes, and I'm so sorry. I'm going to prime factor the 160 right here. So 160 is an even number. I'm going to divide it by 2. So I get 2 and 80. 80, again, an even number. So I'm going to divide it by 2. I get 2 and 40. 40, an even number, going to divide by 2. I get 2 and 20. 20, an even number, I'm going to divide by 2 and get 10. And 10 is an even number, 2 and 5. Then, because of this 3, I need to take the cube root. So I'm looking for groups of 3. 3 of the exact same number. I only have 3 2s. These other ones are going to have to stay inside my radical. So that means that this becomes a 2 on the outside. And then inside my radical is the cube root of 2 times 2 is 4 times 5 is 20. Notice we didn't use that 10 because we broke it down into its prime factors. And that is divided by 4. We have one more step. I literally can hear you groan from here. Yes, it's one step. It's not that hard. You should be able to see that 2 and 4 both can be divided by 2. So we have to simplify it one step further. So 2 and 4 each divided by 2 means 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then I have the cube root of 20, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that is my final answer. Let's do another one. If I was in class with you, I'd say, how many more 3s do I need? And you would say, very excitedly, that we only need 2 more 3s because I have 1 and I need a total of 3. So I'm going to multiply both top and bottom by 2 more 3s. We need 3, now we have 3. Then I'm going to rewrite it. I'm actually going to do all of the multiplication this time. So 2 times 3 times 3, 2 times 3 is 6, times 3 is 18. Over here, though, I'm still writing it as 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 times 3. These are being multiplied. And the reason I'm doing that is because then I don't have to break down 27. I can just see that I need to circle my group of 3. So then that means that I have the cube root of 18 on top, and in my denominator, I have a 3 because I had 3 3s, and that's how many I needed to take out. Now let's prime factor 18. Over here, I'm doing it in the edge. 18 is an even number. I can divide it by 2. I get 2 and 9. And then 9 cannot be divided by 2, but it can be divided by 3. Now I need 3. I only have 2 of any given number. So I can't break the cube root of 18 down any further. So that is my final answer. Flip the page because I didn't do a good job planning for those bottom ones. So we've got a couple more in the back that we'll work with. Oh, yeah, see? Sorry, I did a poor job. All right, so again, we're going to look at this. It's the cube root of 16. So we're going to multiply by 2 more 16. I have 1 16. I need 3 total. So that means I'm going to multiply by 2 more. And if I do it to the bottom, I have to do it to the top. Now I'm going to do the top multiplication. I'm leaving the bottom. So into my calculator. You should grab a calculator if you don't have one. 5 times 16 times 16 is what I have for my numerator. And that is 1280. So the cube root of 1280 over, and I'm going to rewrite it as 16 times 16 times 16. I'm going to recognize that I have, that this is the cube root, that I have 3 16s and I needed 3 16s. So that means that on top I have the cube root of 1280 over 16. I had 3 16s. That's how many I needed. I circled them, and that's what my denominator is. Now we need to prime factor 1280. So we're going to do that so that we can see if we can pull any other numbers out in front. So I'm doing it off to the side. 1280 can be divided by 2. And when I do that, I get 640. 640 again can be divided by 2. And when I do that, I get 320. Again, even number, let's divide by 2. 320 divided by 2, I get 160. 160 divided by 2 is 80. 80 divided by 2 is 40. 40 divided by 2 is 20. 20 divided by 2 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. It's a lot of 2's. We're going to circle our groups of 3. We know it's 3 because it's the cube root. So my group of 3. And then notice I don't have 3 of any other numbers, so I can't pull anything else out. So what does that mean? That means that this 1280, the cube root of 1280, now becomes 2 times 2. When I pull them out, they get multiplied. So 2 times 2 is 4 on the outside of my radical, and on the inside, 2 times 2 is 4 times 5 is 20. Divided by 16. Now we have to simplify one more step. And that one more step, we are going to notice that both 4 and 16 can be divided by 4. So when 4 is divided by 4, I get 1 square root or cube root of 20 divided by 16 divided by 4 is 4. So it's the cube root of 20 over 4. We have one more to do, and then you are going to do your homework. Now, hopefully you're bored with this, which means that you totally understand it. We see that we have a radical in our denominator. We don't want a radical in our denominator. And we have, it's 115. That means that I need to multiply it by 2 more because that's the cube root. And if I do it to the bottom, I have to do it to the top. Then I'm going to multiply 20 times 15 times 15 for my numerator. And I get 4,500. And for my denominator, I'm leaving it as the cube root of 15 times 15 times 15. That way, I can circle those 15s. And those can come out of my radical. So that I have the cube root of 4,500 over 15. Now, you know we have to prime factor that. That's a lot, I know. We're going to prime factor it off to the side. 4,500 is an even number. So because it's an even number, we're going to divide by 2. And when I divide 4,500 by 2, I get 2,250. Again, another even number. So let's divide by 2 again. And I get 1125. Now, not an even number. So let's divide by 5. Whenever it ends in a 5, or even if it ends in a 0, then we can divide by 5. So let's start dividing by 5. 1125 divided by 5 is 225. Again, ends in 5. Let's divide by 5. 225 divided by 5 is 45. Again, ends in 5. Let's divide by 5. 5 and 9. And 9 can be broken into 3 and 3. Now, let's circle. We need to circle groups of 3. I only have these 3 5s that can come out of my radical. Everything else, I have 2 2s and 2 3s. So we're going to rewrite this as 5, and then inside my cube root is going to be everything else, all of my other prime numbers multiplied together. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12, times 3 is 36. And that is all being divided by 15. hopefully you can see that both 5 and 15 can be divided by 5. So when I divide 5 by 5, I get 1. And when I divide 15 by 5, I get 3. So that's my answer. All right, so I am out of the school today, obviously. I will be back in tomorrow. And we have one more thing to learn before we have a test next Friday, the 25th. So you have homework to do that you're going to work on and ask any questions. I have no doubt that the sub can help you. And then I will help you with anything that I can when I get back. So you guys have a fantastic day. I miss you. I'd rather see you than be at jury duty. Talk to you soon.